Hi, this is Andrew Rudy with Menn-O-Light Radio, and I'm here with Andrew Rudy, and we're going to get his Jesus story. I'll let you take it away from there.
Alrighty, well, my name's Andrew. Came to know God, or I usually tell people God called me to Him about 2.5 years ago. Through, trouble. I was a trouble kid. It's pretty tough trying to tell my story a little bit, but I like to. But I grew up, my parents split up. I lived in North Carolina originally, moved up here in Pennsylvania where we live now. Because my dad was an alcoholic. There's many times in my life that even when I moved up here I didn't get along with my dad. I kind of had a lot of deepness in my heart and almost hatred towards him. Because the way how our family got broken up because of his addiction. But through time that got better. I'll share a little bit about that a little bit later. But start out a little bit and go back a few years before I got to know what God called me to Him. Just living how I wanted to live. I mean, if I wanted something, I'd work hard for it. That's just how I did. 2 jobs, worked all the time, lived with my girlfriend, did stuff that, I'm not proud of at all, to say the least, but things were going along, and sure enough, just had everything that I wanted. Nice, fast car, I had money, I had friends, gaming, I bought guns, I had just things to fulfill my life. It was constantly if I wanted something, I didn't care what it just cost, I just worked really hard to get it. And at the end of the day, it still felt empty, it didn't add up to nothing. And about 3 years I was living with the girl that I thought I was going to marry, and didn't think much of it, but then things started coming up to where we had money problem situations and struggling and just wasn't going anywhere. And pretty much we had to move out of the place we had to. She moved back to her parents. She ended up messing around with somebody else, and that's what happened. In that time I felt like I had so much anxiety, the world was falling apart, I didn't want to live. I had nothing to live for. Everything that I had was just it was whatever, I got it. It was okay, I did this on my own might, I got this, and it just proves that it's just it's empty. And
yeah,
I was well, I told my girlfriend at the time before we went down that road of breaking up situation. I was well, she asked me, well, what's wrong with you? I was I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna die. And anxiety got to me, all straight up anxiety. I don't know if anybody's dealt with that, but it's probably the worst sickness you can have almost.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, I remember I told myself, I was you know what? If I'm gonna die, then I want to at least know the Creator that created all this. And I just started reading the Bible. I remember times that she would just drill me about it, just telling me, why are you reading that thing? And here it comes, she was an atheist, never even knew it. Lived with the girl for 3 years. Didn't know that she didn't follow. But yeah, I continued to search, and we were growing apart from each other. And sure enough, before long, I moved back to my parents, and I came out to Youth Center one time with her, and I was she asked me what I was doing, because she'd always question me after I started looking into it. It just wasn't myself. And I stopped in here, and I was for about 3 weeks, I felt like I needed to meet Merv Petersheim, and it just didn't go away. I pushed it off, I got busy, I said whatever. And then one day I stopped in here at the Youth Center to volunteer at, and sure enough, Merv was waiting right there, the guy that when I was a kid used to throw me out of the Youth Center. I would come in here and just cause a ruckus, just be the baddest kid ever, just get attention. And sure enough, I never knew it all along, but I think God was leading me back to pure love. And no matter what, I had somewhere to go to reach back. And I said, I didn't know what to say to him. I was like, hey Merv, can I just come around, help out, come to church with you? And he's like, yeah, we'd love to have you. And from that day on, it's just step by step, and yeah, pretty much left there, and
never looking back.
Well, yeah, it's a process like that.
Yeah.
But to really look at all I had, and you kind of just like, it's empty. It's like, yeah.
Yes.
So pretty much got down to it, and
material possessions.
Me and my girlfriend, after that, like a few weeks later, just were no longer for three. Somebody was engaged and going to get married, and knew somebody and loved them, thought they loved them for 3.5 years. We ended up, I broke it off, and God took that away from me almost, like my hurt, my pain that I thought that I would never get over or love like that. And I didn't have a care in the world in this. I just moved on, and I still have more struggles. It was just because he took away the one, it was still just a walk and just walking through faith. And it was hard. I ain't gonna say it was easy, but I broke down many a times. And I lived at home with my parents, and I haven't lived at home for about 3 or 4 years, and had to come back and humble myself enough to just move back in with my parents. And yeah, they didn't agree with how I lived and spend my money up and stuff like that. But so I moved in with my parents, and I still was working. I stopped working 2 jobs, worked 1, couldn't make it, and stressing out half the time, couldn't pay my bills, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I was just going to church and just going through the motions, I guess, and stuff like that. And there's a few times I prayed to God and broke down. I was like, I don't know. I was frustrated. It seemed like the whole world was coming down, and I was still dealing with anxiety and stress, and didn't have a job. I'd fight with my mom constantly. I couldn't pay my bills. I'd have to borrow money from her, and yeah, it's that type of stress. And I remember I was eating over at a church member's house one day, and I was like telling him about my struggles with job, and he's like, I know a guy that can help you. And he's a construction, you have to work hard. And I was like, I don't know, that sounds pretty tough. And I was like, all right, give him my number. And I just took a step out of there, and I was like, yeah, just give me a call. Tell him to give me a call. And sure enough, like 3 weeks later, out of the blue, he gave me a call, and he just pretty much said, hey, I heard you need a job and such, and I prayed about it. And I was like, all right, well, since I was following God, I was like, I want to go home and see what my parents say and get a blessing from it and see what they think I should do. And I went home and told my parents about it, and they were like, you're crazy out of your mind. You're going to work construction in the dead winter and quit your job that gives you hours. And I was like, well, it's only like 28 hours. And this guy's offered me full-time 40 hours, work more than 40 hours, and just to teach me. And me and my parents got in a big fight with it. And I remember that day I went outside in my backyard, and I was so upset. I pretty much broke down and cried on my knees praying and asking God to take me out of situations and help me with my financial situations and give me good work ethic. And sure enough, after that, I went in and apologized to my parents and said, all right, well, I'll take your word. I kept working at Walmart and just doing that stuff. And sure enough, he kept calling. This guy pursued me, a boss pursued me, asked me to come work for him, keep asking me to come work for him. And I was like, dude, this is crazy, this is no way. And I was like, it's unheard of. It's like, I was like, I kept on shrugging him off, giving him excuses, and sure enough, he called me back the next week. well, I need you, man. Come and work for me. I'll teach you everything you need to know. So then I went home, told my parents, I was like, can I just work for the guy for like one day or something? Well, you do what you want, whatever, and see what happens out. But I'm going to tell you it ain't going to work out. I was like, all right. So I told Dave, I was like, I'm going to come work for you one of these days. So I worked Walmart like 6 o'clock till like 1 o'clock in the morning. I have to get at work with Dave at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I come back and I go to work for him. Did only got like a little amount of sleep, and I was like, man, this is like some straight hard work. And I remember that day. And sure enough, after that, it's like a blessing came out of it. I remember getting a check in the mail for $600 out of nowhere, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't understand. I was like, I just prayed to God like a few weeks ago about financial stuff, and it's like, here it comes, like, and just stepping out of faith, like really trusting Him. And it might sound crazy at first, and everything it sounds like you think of like what you have to offer. Like, I'm not worthy of it. I don't have anything that can benefit to somebody. So I kept working for him, and before I knew it, I was full-time with him. Dead of winter, started a job. It was the coldest winter that we had. And all my strength that I prayed for, and I remember the time I had a lot of fear of heights. I do construction. I'd build pole barns. And I would get on the roof, and literally I'd look like a penguin up there, like flying or something. And the guys would just go on, they just kind of make fun of me and just whatever. And I was like, man, every time I got on there, I remember I prayed to God. I was like, I hope I make it off this roof. And sure enough, it was like shortly after, it was like I continued to just trust in Him. And I was reading the Bible, I was just searching Him, seeking Him, and I was like, the most awesome thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I've done multiple things, I had things, I partied, and nothing I ever would amount to the life that I'm walking in my relationship with Jesus Christ. And yeah. That's why I just continued to work, and through Dave, that my boss, God showed me in lots of things. He helped me get over the fear of heights. He showed me my values, that just being a child of God, and you don't have to fear.
And what do you do at HoneyBrook Youth Center?
It's the ministry is to open the door for the kids and the community. That sometimes we just open the doors to anybody. So we get kids in here that only have a lot of the situations we have going on in America is just there's one parent families. I mean, sometimes their kids get dropped off. We hang out with them, show them love. We try to show them, just be there to listen to them. And through it, it's honestly, it's sometimes crazy, because we end up, as we're walking beside them, we learn, and God shows us stuff.
Yeah.
And it's wild, because they're just children, but it's awesome. It's just, all I can say is it's Jesus.
Yeah. Now I noticed Andrew had pointed at me on the side when he said about praying fear of heights, because I'm actually working doing siding, and I'm up there, man. I'm having to pray every day. God, help me not be scared of this. What did you really pray to get over your fear of heights?
I mean, I just simply broke down and told God, or I told him my fears, and it's like, sometimes it sucked, because it's like, as following God, it's like, man, I know God, and you tell me I need to not fear anything, but like, I'm like 24 feet in air on a purlin, like this 2x4 can break, and I'm like, so I just pray. I honestly just ask God for strength, for just to keep my mind off the situations of this world. And honestly, it's like, if we worry about all of our fears, then like Jesus came for us so we can have the fulfillment. I mean, He wants us to like had, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's it's hard to say now. I pray usually when I get on the job site every day, but I get on the roof now and I'm not. You would never thought I was ever afraid of heights.
Did you grow up Mennonite?
No.
No.
I grew up North Carolina.
North Carolina.
My dad in a little town in New Bern.
No.
Middle of nowhere. Not much. I've heard of God. I've been to church before. Never had a relationship.
Since you got on the 116 shirt, figure I asked you what's your favorite song by him.
My artist is I like Andy Mineo. I can relate a lot to just how he sings what his struggles are. I mean, a lot of people think that the Christian walk is like a crutch, and it's just easy. And I would dare people to think that and give their life to God, because honestly, it's when you're living sold out for God, the struggles that come up and the situations like my past, like how I would handle things, like that you have to walk away and you have to give forgiveness. You have to go back to the same place where Jesus poured his life out on the cross. And yeah, Andy Mineo, I would say Wild Things is one of my favorite songs by him. Because ever since God changed my life, I've seen my friends and seen what this world is for what it is. And I would love to see more people see the freedom that Jesus paid for them. And there's guys, Andy Mineo, Lecrae, Kadashi, and all them guys, Tripoli. It's awesome because like God's using them, and it's such a powerful message that if God pulled them out of the situations that they're in, that God's big enough to pull you out of any situations that you're in. And when you give your life to Him, you don't have to worry anymore. It's just, it's eternal life. I mean, it's a lot of sacrifices. I don't want to make it sound like you just cold turkey. It's a battle sometimes. I mean, I still deal with struggles today. I still deal with past life and trying to let go. Sometimes I'd do anything for people to see the love, but I have to remember that I can't do works on my own, and it's my Father that gives them to me, and it's His works. And it's just to surrender your life and be willing to be available for God to use you. And I have to surrender that a lot because, I mean, I've seen what God did through my life, and it was so awesome. And I have friends that proclaim that they think it's a bunch of bull crap, and they will just mock you about it, and it's tough. Sometimes you just it's still walking through it, but learn just to really ask God when to let go, I guess.
Yeah. I have one more question for you.
The question.
The question. If you were able to express or hear God's love in a sound, what sound do you think that would be?
A sound.
Yep, a sound. I can give you some examples if it stumps you. Like one person said, "Woo!" and another person said, or another person said the wind thing. Using that kind of as a guideline, what do you think God's love would sound like?
Man, that is a tough one. What it would sound like. I mean, when I think of God through my own walk, it's forgiveness. And yeah. So
what would forgiveness sound like? Trying to think.
Well, just the words themselves, the phrase "I forgive you" is pretty.
I would
is a sound in
say,
itself.
What comes to
Because
my
there's an
mind.
emotion portrayed with the sound that like you don't really get with anything else.
I would
Like, with saying it, you also give an emotion that makes it its own sound, kind of. I forgive you is like some really powerful words.
think of this like sound of water, and that's just washing over you as he washes you clean when you give your life to him. And that's what picture I get in my mind. That sometimes we just think we're
I hear
too
the
filthy.
sound. I hear the sound of a phone. Maybe that's the sound of love too. God calling up Jeremiah 33:3. Oh, it's my phone, of course.
I think that's the Menn-O-Light radio testimony video of Andrew Rudy. Supposed to hit end.
Oh, my bad. Slacking.